I think Baylor football needs a change. Technically, they can still win 9 games, and that would technically satisfy my ultimatum. But right now, Baylor is underwhelming, and I think they need a change at the top. And a lot of people believe they need a change at the top. But then the next question that comes is this. Okay, if Baylor's just going to get rid of Dave Aranda, Big 12 championship coach, Sugar Bowl winning coach Dave Aranda, if we're going to get rid of him, where do you go? Where do you go, Smarty Pants? Who's the next guy? And I always say we do kind of have to wait for the most part until November, because that's when we're really finding out whom the group of 5 guys are. Like, if you had done this in mid-October of 2022, you might not be picking Willie Fritz. But by the end of November, you were picking Willie Fritz. So that is something we need to take into account. But as is the case with college football these days, the coaching carousel becomes a lot more defined earlier in the season. Oklahoma State has fired their coach. Florida has fired their coach. UAB and Colorado State have fired their coaches. And of course, the biggest one of the year leads to the most intriguing name. I give to you the next head coach of the Baylor Bears, not Neil Brown, but James Franklin. The most interesting name on the market right now, James Franklin. The dude's resume is impeccable. Penn State feels they can go further, right? They feel like they need a guy who can take them to the next level. But James Franklin, by the resume, is bar none one of the best coaches in college football. And if we are going to hype up the Big Ten, which everyone in the country wants to do, and you look at this dude's record in the Big Ten, then there is no doubt he is one of the best coaches in the country. And honestly, Baylor should be just sending out a trail of rose petals from State College to Waco, Texas. It should be Palm Sunday, man. Palms on the ground. Bring him here. There is no one better on the market that you can get right now than James Franklin. And by the way, it's not that crazy. I really don't think it's that crazy to assume that you can go out and get him. Okay? And look, there's absolutely arguments to be made for Jeff Traylor and TJ Kinney and some of these other guys in the market, but there's no one better than James Franklin. And when you look at, like, say, a job like Florida coming open and Florida's big swings and misses recently, do you think they're looking at that and saying what we're saying and, oh, look how great, James Franklin's numbers are at Penn State, how great his record is, what he's accomplished there? Or do you think they're thinking the same thing that Penn State did and said, well, he can't win the game in a big conference. He can't do it. So we can't have him in Florida in the SEC. Because I think they're probably thinking that way. And they don't want to take what they would perceive as a reach. For Baylor, it's not a reach, okay? This dude is dynamite. Let me just read off some of the things that James Franklin has done before you get in the comments and say, oh, James Franklin can't win the big game. Yeah, he can't beat Ohio State. Can't beat national championship Michigan. I don't think Baylor's doing that anyway. But James Franklin, 104-45 at Penn State. That is a .698 winning percentage. He wins 70% of his games. At Penn State in the Big Ten, Dave Aranda wins about 51% of his games at Baylor in the Big 12. Okay? Like, these two are not created equal, even though they look kind of similar. James Franklin won 10 games at Penn State 6 times. 6 times. Dave Aranda's done that at Baylor once in 6 years. James Franklin has done it 6 times, and he's won 11-plus games 4 times. And, oh, by the way, he took a team last year with a worse quarterback than Sawyer Robertson in Drew Aller, despite what some of the analysts will tell you. He is a worse quarterback. And they won 13 and went to the Final Four last year. The year of our Lord, 2025, James Franklin was coaching college football playoff games and winning them. And if he had had Sawyer Robertson, he probably would have won the whole dang thing, but maybe that's just me. Won the Big Ten in 2016. Won the Division 3 times and went to the Final Four last year. Oh, but Cam, I mean, Penn State, the resources, 100,000 in the stadium. How can you compare? Okay, fine. Let's compare to what he did before he was at Penn State, when he was at Vanderbilt, the toilet bowl of major college football. The worst team in the best conference year after year after year. It's easy if you woke up, if you were just born in 2025, it's easy for you to think that Vanderbilt is one of the great programs in college football with what they've done this year. Or if you've been in a coma for the last 90 years, you can say, oh yeah, well, of course, Vanderbilt's good. But if you're under the age of 90, to you, Vanderbilt means bad football. And when James Franklin was there, he won 9 games at Vanderbilt. Twice he won 9 games there. Like, that should already put you up for the College Football Hall of Fame. Won 9 games there twice. Had one losing season, and it was 6-7. One losing season at Vanderbilt in 4 years. Dave Aranda has more losing seasons than that at Baylor. He's got 3. And James Franklin could only manage to do it once, 1 game under 500 at Vandy. Dave Aranda had a 2-7 and a 3-9 at Baylor in the Big 12. And he wasn't even putting together losing seasons at Vandy in the SEC. Pay him whatever, man. Blank check. Blank check for this dude. And now if I'm him, I'm weighing probably Baylor versus Oklahoma State. And then that's where your job looks even worse. Oklahoma State's had guys who have gone on to do much better. Jimmy Johnson from Oklahoma State. Les Miles from Oklahoma State. Baylor doesn't have that. For better or for worse. You know, sometimes it's a good thing. Sometimes it's a bad thing. But if you're James Franklin, you might look at Oklahoma State and think, I get the same recruiting base here. I've got boosters who are willing to put a lot into the program, which is what it sounds like it's at Baylor too. But they obviously have some bigger donors at the top at Oklahoma State. And then he probably watches the Oklahoma State games on Saturday with a team that is genuinely awful, one of the worst in the Power 4, and sees that they're putting 50, 60,000 people in there every weekend in Stillwater, Oklahoma. That might change his mind a little bit. But you want a job that can get you to the college football playoff, that can win you conference championships, and not quite have the pressure of Penn State, not quite have the rigor of the Big Ten schedule. James Franklin to Baylor should be what on all of our wish lists. It should be at the very top, man. Like James Franklin got fired at Penn State because for the most part, he can't win 11 or 12 games. Dave Aranda is going to get fired at Baylor because for the most part, he can't win 8 or 9 games in the Big 12. Like, this is easy. This is like this should be at the top of every Baylor fan's Christmas list this year. James Franklin coaching the Bears. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts. I don't want to hear about his big game record, man. He would be infinitely better than anybody else on the market when it comes to coaching the Baylor Bears. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you got other names, let me hear them. I probably know some of them, but let me know the names if you've got them. Let me know in the comment section below. Then be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, because we come at you every weekday on YouTube and then wherever you get your podcasts as well. It's the #1 Baylor football show on this grand old app called YouTube, baby. And it's because of you guys, you fans, who make it your first listen today and every day.